This is a training session regarding the FormMaker custom reporting capability. FormMaker is yet another powerful, easy-to-use tool. Using this tool, you can customize printed forms such as checks, invoices, purchase orders, and customer statements. You can also design your own custom reports in any of the system modules. FormMaker is accessed by clicking on the FormMaker button on the main toolbar. In this window, you can see all the available categories for customized FormMaker reports and forms. The top section of the list includes all the available custom report categories grouped by module. Here you can see categories for accounts payable, payroll, and so on. The bottom section of the list box includes all the available customizable forms. These include check formats, purchase orders, invoices, and so on. If we click on the plus sign to expand one of these categories, we can see all of the currently programmed forms. For example, when we expand the Accounts Receivable Invoices category, we can see that a standard invoice format already has been created. In fact, for your convenience in using FormMaker to customize your forms, A-Systems has created a large number of FormMaker forms from which you can choose. Simply start with a form that is close to what you want, then customize the form to your exact needs and save it to a new file name. Let's try this together. First of all, we'll select this standard invoice. When we click the Change button, the FormMaker editor window comes into view. Here we can see the invoice layout. This layout can now be edited. To preserve the purity of the standard report, we're going to save our changed format with a different name. To do so, we select Save As from the File menu. We'll call our new invoice form My Invoice. Now we're ready to make alterations to the invoice to fit our needs. On the invoice form, you can see a number of fields of information. We call these fields frames. First of all, let's add a message to our invoice. First, we find a relatively open space and right-click. Insert a new frame by selecting New Frame from the pop-up menu. Now we see a new frame with borders around the edges. Let's right-click on this frame and select Properties. A dialog box now comes into view. We can insert a string of text by simply typing text into the contents box. Let's add a small message. Now we'll remove the lines from the borders of our frame. Lastly, we'll click the Save button, and our message now shows up. We can resize our frame by dragging the handles, and we can move the frame to the location we want. We could also change the font size, style, or color. We can add an underline, whatever we want. Now let's add a field from the invoice file. Once again, we'll right-click and select New Frame. We'll right-click on our new frame and select Properties. Now we'll search through the available data for the field we wish to display. The file we print invoices from is called the ARINV.PRT file. All the fields you see here are calculated and filled when the invoice is printed. We can also pick fields from the related ARCust or customer record. Let's say we want to prominently display the customer's email address on the invoice. Select Email. Now we'll change the font size. Now let's say Save. As you can see, customizing your invoice form is quite simple. The last thing we'll do is to add a paragraph of text. We'll create a new frame and resize it. Now we'll right-click and select Properties. We'll change the frame type to Mail Merge and click the Edit Text button. Now we're able to enter our paragraph as plain text or rich text. Rich text, as you can see, gives us the opportunity of changing fonts, styles, and colors right within the body of the text. So if you want to have normal text but with bold paragraph headings, you can do so. I'll type a short message, and I'll leave a space for a field from the data file. As you can see, I left a spot for the invoice due date, which is a field stored in the invoice file. Now I'll click the Lookup button and go find the due date field. Notice how the due date field is in line with the text and surrounded by these double caret brackets. I want to format the date to be displayed with the month spelled out. In the documentation, you can read about formatting fields, but suffice it to say that if I enter a field name like this, it will print the date in the format that I'm after. Now let's save our invoice form and return to the FormMaker main window. We can test our new form by simply clicking the Print button. A dummy invoice comes to the screen. You can inspect this report to see whether the changes you've made appear correctly. In order to use our new invoice form for actually printing invoices, we must select Setup and Accounting Options from the main menu. Then we select Accounts Receivable. On the Invoices and Statements tab, indicate the invoice form you wish to use is a FormMaker form. Now the system allows you to specify the file name of the FormMaker invoice you just created. Let's select My Invoice. Now you're all set. The next time you print invoices, the system will use your newly modified invoice form. The second use for FormMaker is the creation of custom reports. Let's try one. First, we'll bring up the FormMaker main window. Now we'll select what kind of report we want to create. Let's create a new vendor listing showing workers' comp expiration dates. The FormMaker designer now comes up again. This time it's a blank canvas waiting for you to create your masterpiece. We'll create a simple report. First, we'll right-click and insert a header band. This will contain our company name, and the title of the report. Next, we'll right-click and create a detail band that will be printed for each vendor. On this line, we'll place the vendor name, vendor number, and phone number. We'll also add some workers' comp information. Finally, we'll filter the report so that we only see subcontractors whose workers' comp will expire in the next 2 months. To do this, we select Report Properties from the File menu. In the Record Filter box, we'll create our filter. We only want to see vendors whose workers' comp expiration date is greater than today and less than today plus 60. This will give us only vendors whose workers' comp expires in the next 60 days. In this window, we can also give our report a description. And specify the orientation of the paper and the margins around the edges of our report information. Now let's select Save from the File menu and give our report a file name. To run our report, all we have to do is highlight it and click the Print button. If we really like it a lot, we can click the Add to Favorites button, and the report will now show up in our Favorite Reports list box. This has been a very shallow overview of the FormMaker functions. If you need more information, detailed help and tutorials are available by clicking the Help button on the FormMaker window. By now, you can see how powerful and yet easy to use FormMaker really is. This tool is limited only by your own imagination. This ends this training session on FormMaker.